In the depths of that ancient and mysterious land, where even the air seemed to carry the will of forgotten elites, Ling Han stood with calm clarity in his eyes. His voice broke the silence, steady and decisive, as he spoke of the final test, of truth and illusion. The answer, he declared, was simple. Let the Asura Demon Emperor step into the puppet and verify its nature firsthand. With that, he casually stored away the puppet. It was nothing more than an empty shell at the moment. No true origin stones powered it, no strength stirred within, just a hollow vessel awaiting life. But in the very next heartbeat, the world shifted. A flash of light tore across his vision. When Ling Han reappeared within the stone statue formation, the scene unfolded as though nothing had ever happened. People rushed toward him from both sides, their movements natural, uninterrupted, as if he had never vanished at all. And yet Ling Han knew the truth. He had disappeared, even if only for a few breaths, and still not a single person had noticed. A chill of awe passed through him. Such methods, such control over time and perception, the handiwork of a supreme expert defied all common sense. "Ling Han! Master!" Two voices rang out, filled with excitement and admiration. Shu Yanyu and Ding Ping hurried toward him, their eyes gleaming with pride that could not be concealed. What had just happened was nothing short of miraculous. Even geniuses like Xie Wuk had been forced to retreat, unable to overcome the trial. Yet Ling Han, only at the high extreme, had succeeded where all others failed. The contrast alone was enough to shake the heavens. "Congratulations, Brother Ling." Xiao Sisi and her companions approached as well, their tone respectful and warm, yet not all gazes were friendly. Xiao Wu let out a cold snort, his expression dark. His eyes lingered on Ling Han, calculating, weighing. Then, without a word, he turned and left with his spear-wielding subordinate and the rest of his group. He had intended to kill Ling Han, but now, with Ling Han's terrifying defense, and with Xiao Sisi's group clearly standing on his side, the opportunity had slipped away. Reluctantly, Xiao Wuke chose to withdraw, out of sight, out of mind. Others attempted to approach Ling Han, eager to speak, to connect. But Xiao Sisi and her companions were too imposing. Their presence alone suppressed the crowd, leaving most without the courage to step forward. One by one, they dispersed. Still, Xiao Sisi's group made their intentions clear. They wished to befriend Ling Han, and their attitude was humble, sincere. Yet this was not the place for deeper conversation. They agreed instead to meet again once they entered the majestic heaven sect. Soon the crowd thinned entirely, and with it came a quiet disappointment. Everyone had witnessed Ling Han emerge from the formation, yet he had received no visible reward. After enduring such a brutal trial, he appeared to have gained nothing. To them, it was a wasted effort. But only Ling Han knew the truth. Once the last of the onlookers had gone, he calmly retrieved the metal sphere. With a flick of his hand, it expanded it into the puppet once more. "Little Asura," he said, his tone light but commanding, "enter it." This time, the puppet had been prepared. True origin stones now rested within, ready to awaken its power. The Asura Demon Emperor obeyed instantly. A thunderous sound erupted. The moment he entered, the puppet stamped its foot upon the ground, and an overwhelming aura burst forth like a tidal wave, pressing down on the surroundings with terrifying might. "Master." The Asura Demon Emperor's voice trembled from within the puppet. This is a Sun Moon tier puppet." He was nearly overwhelmed. Once, he had lost 2 pseudo-Sun Moon tier puppets, and the pain of that loss had nearly broken him. Power, once tasted and then stripped away, was not easily forgotten, and now, after barely a year, his master had handed him a true Sun Moon tier puppet. It was like being reborn into strength. Ling Han merely nodded. "Test it." "What level?" The puppet moved, its limbs carrying immense force as the Asura Demon Emperor adjusted himself to the new vessel. After a moment he answered, "It should be at the medium extreme of the Sun Moon tier." Ling Han frowned slightly. "Only medium extreme." He seemed mildly dissatisfied, but quickly let it pass. After all, it had cost him nothing. To demand perfection would be unreasonable. "This puppet is yours to use," he said casually. The Asura Demon Emperor was stunned, then overwhelmed with gratitude. "Thank you, Master. This little Asura will serve you with utmost loyalty, careful, diligent, unwavering." He poured out his loyalty without restraint. Yet deep within, not a single rebellious thought arose. His wild nature had long been broken. If Ling Han could so easily grant him such power, then what hidden strength must he still possess? That thought alone kept the Asura Demon Emperor firmly in line. And he was right. Even without relying on something like the Vajra Seal, Ling Han could subdue him at any time. With the 7-kill subduing soul technique, he could crush the Asura Demon Emperor's consciousness in an instant, then drag him into the Black Tower, where resistance would be meaningless. With that matter settled, Ling Han focused on himself. Freed from the stone statue's attacks, he activated the indestructible Heaven's Scroll. Energy surged through his body, mending wounds at astonishing speed. Before long, he stood fully restored, uninjured, renewed. He changed into a fresh set of robes, his demeanor once again composed. Let's go. And so, 3 people and 1 puppet continued forward. Along the way, Ling Han recounted everything, how he had obtained the 3 divine seals, and how he had claimed the puppet. Shui Yanyu and Ding Ping listened, both filled with wonder. The one buried here, who could it be? Shui Yanyu murmured. This doesn't feel like a tomb at all, Ding Ping added. Why would someone leave behind such elaborate trials, even after death? Ling Han's gaze drifted into the distance. Perhaps unwilling to fade into obscurity. Even the greatest of beings could not escape death, but perhaps this elite had refused to be forgotten, leaving behind these trials as echoes of his existence. The environment around them pulsed with life essence, rich, nourishing, extraordinary. It did not merely boost cultivation, it healed hidden injuries, refined the body, and brought one closer to perfection. Some cultivators chose to stop exploring altogether. They found quiet places, sat down, and began to cultivate, seizing this rare opportunity to strengthen themselves. Time passed. A few days later, Master, I've broken through! Ding Ping's voice rang with excitement. With Ling Han's constant supply of alchemical pills, his cultivation had surged forward. In the immortal realm, progressing through mortal cultivation levels was far easier. His mental state had long been stable, thanks to the reincarnation tree. The only thing that had delayed him was the need to perfect his strength to 19 stars. Now that barrier had been crossed. Ling Han immediately stood guard. The heavens responded. Thunder roared. Lightning tore through the sky, descending upon Ding Ping in violent waves. Though Ding Ping had perfected his shattering void tier cultivation, he was not a master of a small world, thus 20 stars remained out of reach. But 19 stars alone granted him terrifying combat strength. And so his tribulation, while fierce, was manageable. Half a day passed. The storm faded. Ding Ping stood reborn, and immortal. But instead of pride, his eyes held something else. Master, may I travel on my own? There was longing in his voice, a desire to walk his own path, to experience the world as Ling Han once had. Ling Han smiled faintly. So your wings have hardened? Ding Ping froze, then immediately knelt. Disciple dares not! Ling Han remained silent for a moment, then he retrieved something. The Swift Cloud Talisman. He handed it to Ding Ping. Take this. If danger arises, it will help you escape. We will meet again at the entrance. Ding Ping's heart trembled. This was a treasure Ling Han had risked his life to obtain. Master, he bowed deeply, his emotions overflowing. Only after that did he take the talisman and leave, his figure growing distant as he strode into his own destiny. Shu Yanyu watched him go, then turned to Ling Han. You're really at ease? Ling Han said nothing at first. Then, quietly, the boy has grown. He must learn to fly. A pause. And besides, when I was his age, didn't I travel alone to the imperial capital and win myself a beautiful woman? Shu Yanyu rolled her eyes, but her lips curved slightly. Ling Han laughed. He pulled her into his arms, kissed her boldly. Flustered, she pushed him slightly. There's still someone here. Both of them glanced toward the Asura Demon Emperor. He froze. Then, without hesitation, he dropped to the ground, crouched, and barked like a dog, even attempting to wag a tail that no longer existed. Realizing the awkwardness, he scratched his head and grinned shamelessly. Mistress, please don't treat this little Asura as a person. And just like that, the tension melted into laughter. Yet beneath it all, the journey continued, ever deeper into the unknown. The endless plain stretched like a boundless sea of silence, where even time seemed to lose its meaning. Within this desolate expanse, Ling Han and Shui Yanyu walked side by side, their figures small against the vast heavens, yet their hearts were anything but distant. Their closeness had long transcended ordinary companionship. At times, when the presence of the Asura Demon Emperor became an inconvenience, Linghan would simply draw him into the Black Tower without hesitation. This left the Asura Demon Emperor in a state of constant frustration. In truth, he wished to shout aloud that he was nothing more than a manifestation of chaotic demonic chi, not even human. To him, their intimacy was no different than watching two stray beasts nuzzle one another, but such thoughts remained buried deep within his heart. He knew well that if he dared voice them, death would not be far behind. Thus, he endured in silence. Day after day passed as they traversed the seemingly endless plains. The monotony was enough to break the will of many, driving weaker minds into despair. Yet, for Linghan and Shuayanyu, this journey became a furnace of cultivation. With Linghan's mastery as an Alchemy Emperor combined with the miraculous effects of the reincarnation tree, their progress surged forward like a raging tide. Half a month slipped by. Shuayanyu's cultivation had astonishingly advanced to the late stage of the medium extreme, a feat that would leave even seasoned cultivators speechless. Linghan, meanwhile, continued his steady climb toward the peak of the high extreme. The higher one ascended, the steeper and more treacherous the path became. Each step demanded greater time and effort. Then, at long last, the endless plains came to an end. Before them, a vast and bewildering sight unfolded, a boundless sea. Yet this sea defied all logic. Its seabed was directly connected to the plains they had just crossed, as though the land itself had once been submerged and the waters forcibly drained away. In the distance, a towering wall of water rose abruptly, stretching across the horizon like a celestial barrier. It surged and swayed, suspended unnaturally in place. Beneath this strange ocean, life thrived. A forest, vast, alien, and awe-inspiring, grew upon the seabed. This was the forest of the sea. Towering trees rose from the ocean floor, each stretching tens of thousands of meters into the water above. Yet they were not rigid like ordinary trees. They swayed with a strange flexibility, more akin to colossal weeds than ancient wood. Their leaves were immense, many larger than entire houses, creating countless hidden corners where danger could lurk unseen. The seawater itself further deepened the mystery. It severely restricted divine sense, dulling a cultivator's perception. Vision, too, was obstructed by the dense foliage. Even those with keen awareness would find their senses heavily suppressed here. Shuayanyu's expression turned solemn. "Be careful of the Dark Night Hall," she warned. Previously, the Great Elite's interference had separated cultivators of different levels without their awareness. But now, as they entered this region, they had already glimpsed Sun-Moon tier elites. The separated had once again been gathered, and that meant danger. The Dark Night Hall had already realized that Linghan was no easy target. The next assassin they dispatched would undoubtedly be of the Sun-Moon tier. Before, such enemies had been beyond reach. Now, they could be anywhere. Perhaps even now, one lay hidden within the swaying forest, waiting patiently for the perfect moment to strike. Linghan gave a slight nod, his gaze calm yet sharp. Confidence did not mean recklessness. He understood clearly that against a Sun-Moon tier expert, his current strength was insufficient. Even his level 4 godly body would offer no salvation. A single devastating blow could shatter his spirit, ending his life instantly. To stand against such power, he would need to reach at least 10 stars within the Mountain River tier, and that required the formation of the 5th Mountain River. True perfection. He was not there yet. "Don't worry, Master," the Asura Demon Emperor declared boldly, puffing out his chest. "As long as I'm here, I will protect you with my life." Linghan merely smiled faintly. "Let's move." With that, they stepped into the forest of the sea. The shifting environment brought a sense of direction. No longer were they wandering aimlessly across endless plains. At least now there was change, there was progress. Fortunately, while the seawater suppressed their divine sense, it did not impose harsh regulations like the Star Sea. Their strength remained largely intact, yet danger lurked everywhere. Massive fish glided between the towering vegetation. These were no ordinary creatures. Each one stretched tens of thousands of meters in length. With a mere flick of their tails, they could stir up monstrous waves capable of sweeping even Sun-Moon tier elites away like drifting leaves. Though they were not demonic beasts, their sheer physical strength was terrifying. In the realm of battle, Raw power alone could rival even the mightiest cultivators. The forest itself endured their presence only because of its incredible resilience. Otherwise, it would have long been torn apart by these titanic creatures. Amidst such giants, Linghan and Shui Yanyu appeared insignificant. Yet not all creatures here were so colossal. There were smaller fish, though small was a relative term. Even these measured dozens of meters in length. Compared to the behemoths, however, they seemed like mere minnows. Unlike the larger fish, these smaller ones were aggressive. The moment they detected cultivators, they attacked without hesitation. Their bodies were clad in metallic scales that gleamed with a cold sheen. Their teeth, sharp as blades, flickered with deadly light. They were formidable opponents. Their defenses were strong, their attacks lethal. Without exceptional strength, a cultivator of equal level would struggle greatly against them. But Linghan's eyes lit up with excitement. He had been searching for materials, level 2 godly metal, to strengthen the divine demon sword. And now, the materials had come to him. A violent fish surged forward, its tail whipping through the water and creating powerful currents that destabilized everything in its path. Linghan inhaled deeply. Every pore on his body opened as origin power surged outward. In an instant, he shot forward like a streaking arrow, meeting the fish head-on. The creature's strength was merely at the medium extreme of the mountain river tier. It stood no chance. Within a few exchanges, Linghan stripped it of every scale, leaving it utterly defenseless, a naked fish drifting helplessly. "I'll spare your life," Linghan said with a grin. With a powerful throw, he sent it flying away. As the divine demon sword absorbed the essence of the metallic scales, its power increased, if only slightly. But this was only the beginning. Not long after, the same fish returned. Its appearance was unmistakable, completely stripped of scales, a rare sight in this strange world. But it was no longer alone. Behind it surged a vast school of its kind. Hundreds of violent fish, their eyes burning with hostility, their teeth gleaming with murderous intent. "How does it feel?" Shui Yanyu teased lightly. "To have kindness repaid with hostility?" Linghan burst into laughter. "Why does this feel more like a gift?" Indeed, to him, these creatures were not enemies, but resources. He charged forward once more. The divine demon sword danced through the water, flashing with deadly precision. It stabbed, slashed, and carved through the oncoming swarm. Countless scales were torn free, reduced to dust, their essence devoured by the sword. With each strike, the weapon grew stronger. The sheer volume of godly metal was staggering. Even though these were small fish, each one was dozens of meters long. As the battle reached its climax, a transformation occurred. The divine demon sword suddenly radiated brilliant light. A qualitative leap. Linghan seized the moment, infusing his martial intent into the weapon. Divine patterns formed, one after another, until a total of 23 patterns were etched into its core. Previously, he had been unprepared and could only engrave 7. Now, he was ready. "A level 3 god tool!" he exclaimed, eyes gleaming with satisfaction. With a casual swing, the sword unleashed its might. A sword ray, 3,000 meters long, cleaved through the water. Poop, poop. In a single strike, more than half of the violent fish were cut cleanly in two. The ocean itself seemed to tremble beneath the power of that blade. A new legend had begun to take shape.